Hello, people. Just moments ago, I finished a book, The Ghost Map, subtitle, The Story of London's Most Terrifying Epidemic and How It Changed Science Cities in the Modern World. It's a pretty good book. It's the story of the Broad Street cholera outbreak. Uh, it's also the story of a guy named John Snow. He was a doctor. He was kind of an innovator. He was anesthesiologist, which was something that was very new at the time. He actually anesthetized Queen Victoria when she had her 8th baby. It's the story of another guy, Whitehead. I can't remember his first name. Whitehead was not a doctor. He was a local priest. And they both were from that neighborhood, so they both had first-hand knowledge of who lived there, what the living conditions were like. But more importantly, it's the story of Snow and his discovery that cholera was waterborne. You had to drink it. And everybody else at that time was a miasmist. They thought that stuff like this traveled around in the air. They thought that if you smelled bad smells that you were going to get something. Certainly things can be airborne, but cholera is not one of them. And it's a story of how they both went about proving it. And Whitehead at first was a miasmist, and the more he looked at things and the more knocking on doors that he did, he came to the conclusion that Snow was right. There was people that had microscopes. Microscopes were actually a couple hundred years old at that time. And there was an Italian guy that had seen the cholera microbe. They have since renamed it and added this Italian guy's name at the end of the Latin name. But you couldn't just look in a glass of water. In fact, when they compared the Broad Street pump with some of the other surrounding pumps, the Broad Street water looked really clear. It was a good book. I really enjoyed it. It took me about a week to read. This was published in 2006, so it was published before COVID, and he didn't talk about COVID at the end. The last chapter was about bird flu and stuff, and he even goes into nuclear war and how since that time, this was in 1854, since that time humans have gone from living kind of separated in the countryside to being overwhelmingly in the cities, and what that means for contagious diseases. 262 pages, a lot of first-hand accounts in here, a lot of quotes from people. They even quote Stephen Jay Gould. They quote Engels. I don't have a whole lot of notes here. It was a really good book, and you'd think I would have a lot of notes, but I don't. But I got one page of reading, page 40. This is the kind of author that I like, Stephen Johnson. The kind of author that I like that will go off and explain to you the life cycle of a cholera microbe. And he also goes into great detail describing why the miasmists were the way they were. And one of the biggest reasons is because humans, our sense of smell is very important to us. And when you walked around shitty neighborhoods in London, you could smell sheds, you could smell slaughterhouses. And so they put two and two together. And when I say that our sense of smell is very important to us, I mean, if before we take a bite of a piece of spoiled meat, we smell it, and and immediately our brain tells us, don't eat that. You're going to get sick. You're going to be shitting your pants. It's an evolutionary thing that made the theory of miasma so appealing to everyone. Second and third paragraph. In this sense, what the Vibrio cholerae bacteria desires, more than anything, is an environment in which human beings have a regular habit of eating other people's excrement. V. cholerae cannot be transmitted through the air, or even through the exchange of most bodily fluids. The ultimate route of transmission is almost invariably the same. An infected person emits the bacteria during one of the violent bouts of diarrhea that are the disease's trademark, and another person somehow ingests some of the bacteria, usually through drinking contaminated water. Drop it into a setting where excrement eating is a common practice, and cholera will thrive, hijacking intestine after intestine to manufacture more bacteria. For most of the history of Homo sapiens, this dependence on excrement eating meant that the cholera bacterium didn't travel well. Since the dawn of civilization, human culture has demonstrated a remarkable knack for diversity. But eating other humans' waste is as close to a universal taboo as any in the book. And so, without a widespread practice of consuming other people's waste, cholera stayed close to its original home in the brackish waters of the Ganges Delta, surviving on a diet of plankton. Really, that's it. I know that I had other things I wanted to talk about, but I can't think of them right now. And I haven't even started a new book. This is very rare for me to do the video moments after I'm finished. Thanks for watching.